This next column is the change in assets over the change in liabilities. Okay, and what I'm trying to find out here is whether or not over the past 3 years, are your assets increasing or are your liabilities increasing? Okay, and what's important about that is if you have increasing assets, it's okay to have increasing liabilities to take care of those assets. And let me back up and say this. If you were to purchase a home, okay, that home will be listed as an asset. However, the mortgage for the home is a liability. So it's perfectly fine for you to purchase an asset and also have a liability. But what we want to make sure is that you are getting more assets than you're taking on liability. And that's what this is. And so this is a positive number. And so what that means is over the past 3 years, the assets have increased more than the liabilities. All right. The next column here is what I call cap cost, or cost of capital. And what this is this is the interest expense that is paid on loans. And what we're doing is we're taking the actual interest amount and dividing it by the total assets. So when we talk about the assets that you are acquiring, the assets that you are gaining, the question is how much interest on the loans are you paying for those assets? And we see here that this number for ExxonMobil is 0.06%, which is really low. And again, this number can't be taken on its own. It must be referenced to the other companies in its sector. But that is a pretty good number. The next number we have here is beta. And beta is a statistical reference used all throughout the finance world. But my beta is calculated a bit differently. So usually beta is calculated as volatility like we have over here. But it's not really a standard deviation. It is it's a calculation that calculates the volatility of this particular stock in reference to some benchmark. Okay, and that benchmark is typically the S&P 500. It can be the Dow 100, the Russell 2000 index. But what beta calculates is how volatile this stock is in reference to those other exchanges or indexes. And so what that means is if you have a positive beta of, let's say, 2, then that typically means that this stock is 2% more volatile than the index that you're referencing. So if the Russell 2000 were to move up 2%, then a 2% beta means that the stock would move up about 4% on average. If the Russell 2000 index moved down 2%, then this stock with a 2% beta would decline by 4% on average. Okay. My beta is a bit different. What my beta calculates is how this stock acts, okay, when the market is down. And the index I'm using is actually the Dow. And there's a reason for that. I won't go into it now, but the index I'm using is the Dow. And so what this number here means for ExxonMobil is that when the Dow market goes down, ExxonMobil actually goes up 1.2% on average. All right. This column here is a 1-year estimate of the actual price for the stock. And so how this is calculated is it's taking the current price, okay, of $86.46, is using the 1-month average return over the last 3 years, and it's calculating if this trend continues for the next year, the price will be this price next year or in 12 months. And so that price is $82.80 because this stock is expected to decline over the next 12 months. All right. The next, and these 1-year estimates, I have to say, are found everywhere. Yahoo Finance typically has these. For ExxonMobil, the 1 year estimate is actually $89.93. But again, I'm not sure how these are being calculated. These 1 year target estimates is actually an average of every analyst estimate for this particular stock, and every analyst has their own way of calculating their 1 year target estimate, which is why I use my own target estimate. Okay, and my 1 year target estimate says that this stock is going to actually decline to $82.80. All right, the next column is what's considered a Bollinger Band. Okay, now Bollinger Band is a band, and it has an upper limit and a lower limit, and it says that the price will be between these two numbers. All right, I won't go into how that's calculated right now, but it's basically used based on the volatility of the stock price. Okay, and so what this says is that this price will not move higher than $97.91, but it also won't be any lower than $63.03. And how this helps is because if I have a stock and its current price is somewhere around $97, that tells me that it's probably time to sell that stock. It may not go any higher. And also, when we have a lower band here of $63, it tells me that this stock probably won't go any lower than $63. And if I see the price close to that $63 range, it's probably a good time to buy in because it won't go any lower. All right, the next number we have here is the expected return percentage. Okay, and this is directly related to our 1 year estimate here of $82.80, which is a 15.97% decline. All right, this number here is actually our score. Okay, all of these stocks are scored on a system using some of the items that we went through today, and the highest score is the stocks that we want to pick from when we're looking to buy or sell stocks. And as you can see here, let me do this.